Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and welcome to, wait for it, I have changed my mind 3 times on what I would do this video for Book Talk Tuesday on. First, I was going to do a book review on the Nickel Boys because I want to start doing more book reviews this year. But I feel like with the Nickel Boys, I can't really say the same things I want to say about it without spoiling the book, and if you haven't read it, that would be a shame. So, not going to do that. Next, I was going to do a book talk on books featuring mushrooms or fungi of some sort. And then I finished the book that made me think of that idea, and I decided instead to do an author spotlight on C.J. Cooke. When I get to the book that I just finished today, I will tell you what it is and why it so excited me. But now I have, I believe, all of her books. So, there are 5 here. Let's go through them. My nose started to run. Thank you, allergies. The first 3, are, and I know this because I read the afterword for the book I finished today. The first 3 are a trilogy in theme about motherhood and pregnancy to some extent, and but they're standalone books. It starts with The Nestling, a novel by C.J. Cooke. I featured this in another video earlier last year. Stephen King shouted this book out on Twitter, and Mother Horror read it. I don't think she liked it as much as Stephen King did, but after reading the one that I read, I'm still willing to give it a go. I've had this in my collection for some months now. Let's see what it's about, shall we? The woods are creeping in on a nanny and 2 young girls in this chilling, modern Gothic thriller. I'm trying to figure out if there's 2 timelines or not. Yes, there is. It starts with now. She does then and now very well, I think. Architect Tom Faraday is determined to finish the high-concept, environmentally friendly home he's building in Norway, in the same place where he lost his wife, Aurelia, to suicide. It was their dream house, and he wants to honor her with it. Lexi Ellis takes a job as his nanny and immediately falls in love with his 2 young daughters, especially Gaia. Let me pause here to interject something. One of the things Mother Horror said she didn't really like about this book is the way Lexi gets the job. Personally, I thought that was brilliant just from what she said about it, but we'll find out when I read it. But something feels off in the isolated house nestled in the forest along the fjord. Lexi sees mysterious, muddy footprints inside the home. Aurelia's diary appears in Lexi's room one day, and Gaia keeps telling her about seeing the terrifying, sad lady. Soon, Lexi suspects that Aurelia didn't kill herself and that they are all in danger of something far more sinister lurking around them. So, this is about a nanny and 2 young girls, a woman who either killed herself or was murdered, but mother and children. I'm going to have to try really hard not to binge these back to back to back, because I know when I binge, I end up getting burnt out on a subject, but these are up there in the TBR, especially after today. Next up in the trilogy by theme is The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cooke. I bought this and I featured it in, I think it was around April of last year, a book talk about witchy books. For me, a lot of people read witchy books in October or November. I live in North Carolina, so by October, the heat is starting to break and it's starting to feel fresh, so I don't feel it really spooky at all. But January, February, like today has been a gray day, very rainy and just gray. The sun didn't come out at all. So this feels like the time for me, atmospherically, perfect time to read anything witchy or anything gothic-y. So in The Lighthouse Witches, another 2 timeline. I'm a sucker for the 2 timelines. Two sisters go missing on a remote Scottish island. 20 years later, one is found, but she's still the same age as when she disappeared. The secrets of witches have reached across centuries in this gothic thriller from the author of the acclaimed The Nesting. When Single Mother Live, I've got fingerprints on my glasses, so bear with me, is commissioned to paint a mural in a 100-year-old lighthouse on a remote Scottish island, it's an opportunity to start over with her 3 daughters, mother and children, Luna, Sapphire, and Clover. When 2 of her daughters go missing, she's frantic. She learns that the cave beneath the lighthouse was once a prison for women accused of witchcraft. You'll see this come back up again. Not right now, but later. The locals warn her about wildlings, supernatural beings who mimic human children, created by witches for revenge. Liv is told wildlings are dangerous and must be killed. 22 years later, Luna has been searching for her missing sisters and mother. When she receives a call about her youngest sister Clover, she's initially ecstatic. Clover's the sister she remembers, except she's still 7 years old, the age she was when she vanished. Luna is worried Clover is a wildling. Luna has few memories of her time on the island, but she'll have to return to find the truth of what happened to her family. She doesn't realize just how much the truth will change her. Wildlings, or there's another name for it, and I had it and it just slipped out of my head. Changelings is another theme that comes up in a certain way in the next book that I'll tell you about. So I've had this for almost a year, have not read it, but now I think sometimes books find you at the right time, and maybe if I had read this last year, it wouldn't hit right. But the one that I finished today, started yesterday, finished today, it actually doesn't come out until April in the U.S. The U.S. edition doesn't come out until April. I bought this through Amazon. It's a little worse for the wear. It came like that. I don't care. The Ghost Woods by C.J. Cooke, right? No shit. I had such a good time with this. It's 2 timelines. You can see on the cover, mushrooms, which is why I got the idea to do a book talk about mushrooms, maybe next week. And I just so enjoyed this book. I loved the characters. There were short chapters. The flow went really well. This is the 3rd in C.J. Cooke's theme about mothers and children. Lycan Hall is shrouded in folklore. Old stories of ghosts, of witches, of a child who is not quite a child. Now the woods are creeping closer, and something has been unleashed. Pearl Gorham arrives in 1965, one of a string of young women sent to Lycan Hall to give birth. When she meets the mysterious mother and young boy who live on the grounds, the truth of the house emerges and the darkness moves in. Pearl must rethink everything she knows and risk what she holds most dear. Really, I will talk more about this in my weekend books next week because I have a lot to say. Sometimes in this book, I felt like I was on shrooms. I was like, what is going on? But, I mean, now I know. I finished it. And when I finished it, I was like, yep, Author Spotlight, C.J. Cooke. And I bought 2 other books this afternoon on the way home to add to my collection because she's an auto buy for me, and I'm going to read more of her this year. So the next 2, I'm not sure, we'll get to their pub date, U.S. editions, because I did buy them locally. I'm not sure where they fit in the timeline of when she wrote them, but these are not part of that same theme. I don't think. Next one is A Haunting in the Arctic. This is the one, so one of these I bought online and paid for. This one I picked up in the store when I realized I had to have it. This was published, it's copyright 2024, first edition, February 2024. So this is the U.S. edition. I do not know, and I did not look up if it was printed earlier in the UK. The year, two timelines. The year is 1901, and Nikki is attacked, then wakes on board the Orman, a whaling ship embarked on what could be its last voyage. With land still weeks away, it's just her, the freezing ocean, and the crew, and they're all owed something only she can give them. Now, more than 100 years later, the wreck of the Orman has washed up on the forbidding, remote coast of Iceland. It's scheduled to be destroyed, but explorer Dominique feels an inexplicable pull to document its last days, even though those who have ventured onto the ship before her have met uncanny ends. On board the boat, Dominique will uncover a grim past riddled with lies, cruelty, and murder, and her discovery will change everything. Because she'll soon realize she's not alone. Something has walked the floors of the Orman for over a century. Something that craves revenge. There's a Selkie element to this. This is not a spoiler. It's in part 1 of the book, and if you go online to, read a sample, it'll show you that. I am really looking forward to reading this. Sadie Hartman read it, I think gave it 4 stars or something, but really looking forward. Now, the final book, which I looked at originally, wasn't going to buy, but then I bought because I was buying another book. It's a mushroom book, before I changed my mind about the subject of this. That is the Book of Witching by C.J. Cooke. Remember, witches have come up before. A mother must fight for her daughter's life in this fierce and haunting tale of witchcraft and revenge. Clem gets a call that is every mother's worst nightmare. Her 19-year-old daughter, Erin, is unconscious in the hospital after a hiking trip with her friends on the remote Orkney Islands met a horrifying end, leaving her boyfriend dead and her best friend missing. When Erin wakes, she doesn't recognize her mother, and she doesn't answer her name, but insists she is someone named Nix. Clem travels to the site of her daughter's accident, determined to find out what happened to her. The answer may lie in a dark secret in the history of the Orkneys, a woman wrongly accused of witchcraft and murder 4 centuries ago. Clem begins to wonder whether Erin's strange behavior is a symptom of a broken mind or the effects of an ancient curse. This one was published, I found a book, I Know My Name, that I don't have by C.J. Cooke. It's copyright 2024, first edition, October 2024. Again, I don't know if or when it was published in the UK, but I look forward to reading this one as well. So, there is another book by I Know My Name. Yes, there is one. It preceded The Nesting and The Lighthouse Witches. I will be getting online to check that out momentarily. Anywho, I hope you've enjoyed this. Have you read anything by C.J. Cooke? I really like the 2 timelines. I love short chapters. It keeps the pace up for me. And I love the whole gothic feel of these. Again, this is the best time of year for me to read that because gray days, cold days, and I'm not, in October here, sometimes it could still be really hot, so it doesn't feel gothic-y to me. Anywho, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. If you've read any of these, let me know. If you have any recommendations, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and as always, thank you for coming with me on my journey. Happy reading!